Well, hello good people. Today I want to cover some basic prompting in Midjourney. And I know you're excited to get started, and we will in a second, but I first want you to go into your settings because there's a few things I want you to be aware of. Now, how to do that is quite simple. Just go into the chat box area here, type in the / and you're going to see all these settings. Simply select settings, hit enter in the chat box, and after a few seconds, you're going to get all these options. First, you want to make sure you're on Midjourney version 4. This is the latest version, and the quality is very different from Midjourney 3, 2, 1, etc. There really isn't no reason to use previous versions except for a few other features that are available, which we'll talk about on another video. For now, make sure Midjourney 4 is selected. The next setting I want you to change really depends on the subscription model you chose. If you're on the $10 a month one, you might want to just leave it on base quality. But for those of you that are on the unlimited version, which is $30 a month, change it to high quality. Your style options here, only style medium works on version 4, so you can simply leave it at that. For the upscale method, you want to choose beta upscale. This is the current best version. By default, you'll be on public mode. Private mode, you'll have to pay a bit more a month, which to me isn't worth it. Make sure remix mode is active. We'll go over this later on in the video, but that enables us to, let's say I like this image and I select V4. It's going to enable me to change the current prompt so that I can get a variation, but we'll go over that later. Now this one's important too. You want to use relaxed mode. Now it will take a bit longer than the fast mode. Fast mode prioritizes your generation, especially during heavy traffic times. That can come in very handy. However, it costs GPU hours. Now, what are GPU hours? If we go into the chat box here and we type in info, and I'm going to hit enter there, it's going to reveal some information here. And the one I want you to pay attention to is fast time remaining. So everybody gets 15 hours a month. You see here that I have only 35% left, which is 5 hours roughly. Once that's used up, it's going to go to relaxed mode. When I do tutorials like this, I put it on fast mode if I'm doing it on the fly. But if I prepare ahead of time, I could simply change this to relaxed mode and not worry about the hours here, right? Now, lastly, the reason why we do some of these settings is because if you look at this prompt here, the up beta prompt here, that is the upscale method here. And then you see here --V4, that's the Midjourney version that we selected. And then the --Q2 here references the quality. So we put high quality here. This is important because when you start prompt crafting, you don't have to type those in. All you have to type in really is your aspect ratio and you're good to go. Now let's get to the good stuff. So to start prompt crafting, you want to always start with /imagine. So we're going to type that here, /im, and it's going to automatically give you this option, which you will simply click. The first thing you want to think of is what kind of picture you want. I want you to just think of a simple concept and idea. Maybe it's a painting of a dog that you want to do. Maybe it's a mansion in an autumn garden. Whatever the case might be, start very simple to have a foundation and then build upon that. First, we're going to start with something very simple, a portrait of a woman, right? Really simple. So in the prompt, I've put in front view portrait of a woman. I'm also going to give it a gray background and front lighting, just so we have a very bland starting point. Once you put in your prompt, you see on the right here, see the progress with the percentage there. Right now it's still waiting. By default, you're going to get 4 image generations. So if we click on the image, it's going to pop out a preview. And on the bottom left here, you can open it up so that it comes up in your browser. So our prompt was a front view portrait of a woman, gray background with front lighting. And you can tell it's front lighting by the highlights on the forehead. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Midjourney has a default render setting. So in terms of like people, chances are you're going to get a very realistic image. Now before we go any further, I want to show you what these options are. The U options here means upscale. So if I wanted to upscale any of these images, I would simply click on one of them. So let's say I pick the second one here. So it reads 1, 2, 3, 4. The second one, if I wanted to upscale, I would click on this, and then it's going to generate an upscaled version of this image. If I wanted to tweak this specific image and just add more prompts to it and use it as a basis, then you can go to V2 here. Because we clicked on remix mode, when we click on V2 here, it's going to bring up this dialog box where we can add to the original prompt here. So this is very useful if you want kind of a consistent look in your images. It's not going to be exact. There's still going to be some randomization to it, but this is a great feature to have. And lastly, this is your reroll option. If I were to click on this, it would just take the same prompt and run it again. We're going to build off this second image. So we're going to click on V2 here. The next thing I want to change is the environment. Instead of a gray background, I'm going to type in leaves and trees. For you, it could be very different. It could be a city at night. It could be a sandy beach. Whatever image you're trying to generate, think of the environment that surrounds the main subject. And here we have the rendered image. So it's taken the likeness of this image, but you can clearly see the prompt now has added the environment that we desired. So next I want to talk about aspect ratio. What we should be doing with this prompt here, I'm going to copy it into the prompt area here, and then we're going to add --AR 2:3 because we want that portrait aspect ratio, or we can do a landscape aspect ratio. Here's the 2:3 ratio. Let's open this up. Definitely better. So I like this second image. We're going to use V2 to work off that one. There's two things I want to change here. Now we're going to get into more of the finer details. The first thing is the outfit of the woman. I want to give her like a summer dress. But you have to remember context is everything. Maybe we want more of a half body perspective so that we could see some of that dress. We're going to add half body shot. And then after portrait of a woman, we're going to do like a soft break with a comma and put wearing a colorful summer dress. I spelled wearing wrong, so let's add the R. As we look at the generation here, let's open it up here. It's not really half body, right? Here it is. Out of the 4 images, we only have one image that is a half body. So I'm going to copy this prompt, but if I put in half body wide angle, chances are I'm going to get more of a half body shot. This also applies for full body shots too. Now in terms of perspective, you can have front view, side view, aerial view, low profile. When you start researching all the various prompt words, those are some things to keep in mind. So here we see the rendered images. Let's look at the first two. When you say half body wide angle, you're going to get more of these half body shots, as you see here. And half body really is waist up or chest up. So I want to talk to you about lighting and how that affects the image as well. Remember, context is everything. Indoor lighting could be very different from outdoor lighting. This example, it's a very similar prompt like what we started with. Portrait of a woman, front view, front light, gray background. If we look at this example, I entered in warm lighting. And if I flip between another image with a different type of lighting, so look at this image. Now look at this image. There's a certain warmth to it. This one is side lighting. This one is the warm lighting. This is an example of side lighting. If you look at the sides here or the side here, this one, she's physically on the side. So this is an example of high key lighting. It's very strong, prominent light, and it's usually used for like glamour fashion portraits. I'll show you one more example of backlighting. Now these 3 didn't really generate the backlighting I was looking for, but in this one it did. You see the little glow here on the neck? That's known as backlighting. There's also rim lighting that is very similar, but in this example you do see it a bit more. It's a bit harder to see. There's like a halo of light, a little bit here. and even more so here. There's a bit of a backlit effect. So again, we're going to go with the same prompt, but we're going to change it up a little bit because I feel like it's getting a bit too busy. We're going to type in imagine, copy and paste. And I've added diffused lighting here to get a softer light. And this time I'm going to add cherry blossom trees in the background. So we're going to let that run. And here we go. Here's the rendered image. Totally different environment now. I kind of like how this is looking here. This one's a bit more distracting. This one's really nice too. But you see here, this is kind of what I envisioned. The cherry blossom trees. By the way, you see this soft diffused light. See how the shadows are very soft? This one, the lighting is quite harsh. And that's typical of image generation. It's not always going to give you exactly what you want in the prompt. But if you look at the other images here, yes, the lighting is a bit darker, but it's much more softer in terms of the shadows. That's what diffused lighting is. But let's go with this one. So the second image here, now we're going to look at details. And details has a lot to do of how defined the image is. Personally, I like to use intricate details for really fine details, ornate for kind of fancy looking details. Use words like hyper, ultra, highly. It really depends on how much definition you want. And another thing to mention is that the order of the words also carry weight. So whatever is your priority, put it at the beginning of the prompt or close to the beginning. So just for fun, I'm going to take the final prompt and plug that in. And then we're going to generate a new image here. So here we have our adjusted final prompt and we added photorealism. Now it looks a lot more photorealistic. We were kind of deviating away from that because of all the prompting, but this totally looks more realistic, especially in this second image and this fourth image. The photorealism is very close. Now the beautiful thing about this is I can keep this prompt now, use it as a foundation and change the subject matter, change the environment. But if I'm happy with this look, it serves as a foundation for other prompts that I want to build. Now, if you want to create some cool looking exploding statues, I did a very short video on that right here, and the prompts are added in the description of the video. So make sure you check that out. Until the next video, my friends, I'll see you when I see you.